Auntie Bucky to come upstairs. Sorry about that. It wouldn't let me unmute myself. So, Auntie Bucky, we've got the ladies here online. Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
All going?
Okay.
Bit hot and bothered.
So, just so we know, we've got Auntie Bucky here. We've got Auntie Kay, and then we've got Uncle Holker down the bottom there, the man with the handsome beard, impressive beard. We started out a week ago on this journey, correct? Well, we've been on this journey probably longer than that.
Yeah, for a very long time.
You know, Auntie Bucky's journey starts back saving Jackie Kundu. All of our original First Nations, there's something that starts the spark, right? Where they actually realise that we're working against systems working against us, not just the originals, but all of us.
Yes.
And that it's now is the time. So basically, we had a lady, Helen, who came to us. She's working with Uncle Juma and Craig from the Northern Territory. Uncle Juma is a senior lawman, and also with Ulikai from down in Victoria, and they're pulling together what they call ancient pactums, where each mob, I don't know whether people realise, there's 369 tribes or mobs on this land. To actually take control of this whole land, you've got to have all joined together. Right? So what they're doing is they're coming together for own self-governance, and then in ancient pactum with each other, and they're re-establishing the song lines and their songs and starting to work in unison. So,
which hasn't happened for quite a long time now, because of the divide. You know how they do the divide, conquer and divide. So that's basically what they've done, and they've created little stories, so the Chinese whispers, to get around the whole continent for all the mobs to, instead of coming together to fight. So now they're moving on from that petty business and moving on to what is important, and the important thing is that we all come together to actually support each other to get the job done. So have you got anything to say, Olga?
Yeah. I've got a question that the audience here.
You're on mute.
yeah.
Am I? No, I'm not. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Auntie Bucky, it's Heather. We've got a question that many in the audience may be interested in. What's an ancient pactum? Can you give us a description of that for those who...
It's like without using paperwork or anything like that in the government system, we use our own basic, back in the day, handshake and agreement. We don't need, and we're agreeing to come together in unity to do this. So it's not about writing it on a piece of paper. It's about all of us in agreement of fighting. I shouldn't say fight. I should say
Unity.
We're coming in unity to actually make sure that the system falls.
Yeah. And look, a great example of this, and I think this is the thing that's all the buzz at the moment, right, is that in under a week, Uncle Holker, Auntie Kay, Auntie Bucky have all come together to create their self-governance, and they're standing on paperwork that Uncle Juma's already served into the United Nations and into the Maori land courts. Craig came down as as a human rights ambassador to actually watch the serving of the documents. We then went to a My Place meeting, and this is community coming together, getting rid of the and coming back to the unity. So, I mean, Heather was part of that there, and the video will be available later on in the week about the My Place community meeting. but basically that's where we basically said we've all got to come together. We've got to stand behind our originals. And, you know, in less than 24 hours, we had 100 people standing at the council chambers with the Kabi elders to serve those documents on the chief executive officer. You know, it was really, and then we turned around and we served it on the courts and we served it on the police.
But not only that, we didn't just have Kabi, we had Butchulla, we had Larrakia, we had Waka Waka, we had Grandmother Malara, which I can't pronounce, and one of the women who come, she's from Moree, she's from the Moree mob, so it's really starting to gain ground.
Ladies, are we muted or not?
No.
Okay. Just for clarity, I wonder if you could give us or explain to us what these papers are. These are the self-governing documents, aren't they? Is that what? So just for people who don't know, like me,
what these documents are, to begin with, we as the Kabi, we've had a lot of men and women who actually work with us to put this paperwork together. Otherwise, we would not be able to do it. So we've got a team of men and women who are quite knowledgeable in understanding the commerce side of the system. So this is, and also through us, they've found out about our spiritual side and our law of the land and things like that, so they can put this document together. And the document itself isn't set in stone. We as a Kabi mob can sit and look at it into the near future, see things that may need to be changed and change it. It's not like a constitution, so to speak.
Yep.
We have our own way of doing our business, and we believe the work that's put into it, we'll go through it, and then if we come together and we say, well, we don't like this and we don't like that, it all can be changed. But it had to be done very quickly to actually get this across, because we were not going to have an opportunity to have Uncle Juma and Craig here after those dates. So we had to go in feet and all. And it was good that Holker came up with his daughter. They looked at the process, they went through all of this, and I think it's great that we've got this, and now it's actually spiraling into all of the other places across this continent. And there's one thing that I want to Jazzy to explain, or Helen to explain, is why we had to put it into the Maori land courts. There is a reason, and can you explain that, Helen?
Yes, I can. Arao, Jingila, hi everybody, thank you for coming on. But first I just want to say, Heather, you are a legend. That what you did with the commentary, and you had so much enthusiasm and energy, and that's a living piece of her story for us now. That's, it's the time of the divine feminine, but you just absolutely smashed it out of the park. and it was amazing to watch that afterwards, you know, because we just have so much going on here, like it's would blow your mind, but you know, so we can relive what actually occurred afterwards by your recording of that. So it's not just for posterity, but amazing job, and thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Helen. Look, it's an absolute honour. I believe this is why I'm here in this area. I mean, because we were guided to this particular area
in
of this continent in 2018, and we finally it took us a year to get here, and so much has transpired in that short amount of time, and things have just unfolded and fallen in front of us, and we're just happy. Louise and I are just happy to be a part of the greatest shift on our planet.
Absolutely.
We know why we're here, and that's why we're passionate, because it's about all of us. So can you see the document I put up, all of you?
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for that. That was great. Now, can I ask, Heather, if the voice had have passed, this wouldn't be possible, would it? So
We'd still be doing it. We'd still be doing it.
That's wrong.
Doing this.
Yeah, this has been in the works for
no, that's good. Clarify for me, because the original people of this land never treated with the white man when they arrived. That's correct. Yes.
Correct.
So was the voice an attempt to override their right to sovereignty?
Yeah, it was just to steal the sovereignty, basically, because anyone who voted recontracted with the government
As a citizen.
as a citizen of the Australia Corporation. So if you voted, you recontracted. That's what it's all about. So
But
we're
in
trying-
actual fact, I'm sorry, Helen, but in actual fact, because the government is a corporation and they are fraudulent because the people never ever gave consent for our government to become a corporation.
correct.
So therefore, it's all fraud. And even if the voice would have passed, it was still fraud.
That's right. And the best part, Auntie Kay, is that it would have been fraud on Norfolk Island.
Exactly. Yes. Not on this continent.
So,
Can I ask
yeah,
a question about the voice? Sorry to take it back to that. There were a lot of Indigenous people pushing the voice, and a lot of people in my community, when I wasn't in support of the voice, were, really pushing for the voice, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, who thought that it was the best for Australia. So the Indigenous that were pushing the voice, are they sold out blackfellas? Are they corporate greed, or are they uneducated, misinformed? Answer the question.
the
All
answer
of
is
that.
D, all of the above.
And they were getting paid to do so. So it all comes back to the money. We know a whole heap of, of the originals who are actually getting paid to say yes. So at the end of the day, they had dangle the carrot. And you know that within this, from the time that the colonised set foot on this land, on this continent, they were there to massacre, kill, whatever they wanted to do, because they did not want the rest of the world to believe that there was I don't like saying the word tribe. I don't like saying tribe, but I'll just say the word. They didn't want everybody to know that this land here was already, what's the word for it? We're already here. Occupied. That's it.
In international.
But we also all had our own governance.
Yeah.
And all of the country used to come together to make law and take it back to their own mobs.
Yes.
So it was
see,
under
there
your
was
own
a-
jurisdiction.
There was an actual governing system, yes.
And that was.
Can I? Sorry to interrupt, but I've got a question which I believe a lot of people will ask. Why does this need to go through the Maori land courts?
Okay, so basically all our courts on this land, doesn't matter which one you go to, doesn't matter if you go to your local court or the High Court, the Supreme Court, a district court, what's it called? QCAT.
Supreme Court.
None of that. They are all tribunals, right? They're not courts. That's why they're getting away with all the abuse and crap that they're doing, because they're just trust meetings. They're running businesses. It's trust meetings. All they're doing is transacting on the trusts. So what they're conducting is called under the colour of law, which is basically just pretending. So they're pretending to be a court of law, but what they're actually being is a trust meeting to keep you in slavery. So there's a whole lot of, heaps of research and papers and legislation that can back that up. But that's actually what's going on there. Foreign situs trusts being operated on top of the land, across the land, and on each of us. So we are the land, as Jazzy says. And that's all they're doing. That's why you get such randomised results out of courts. And I speak from experience here. I don't say anything that I haven't done. I've been to the High Court, the Supreme Court, the Downing Centre in Sydney, Coffs Harbour Local Court, Nowra Court. So I've got a fair runs on the board with the court system. And so speaking from absolute experience on that.
So then the Maori court is a true court, is that correct?
The Maori court, so we had to go to the Maori court. So it started actually with bringing the government to task over the COVID stuff. But it's no point going into a court here to try and get accountability. We can't ask the mafia for accountability on the mafia, right? It's
true.
Racketeering business. It's a waste of time. Okay, I've tried to do it as a private prosecutor, common informer from the highest status of law that you can get. They won't let it in. It doesn't work. So I'm literally technically outlawed on this continent by their statutory system. They won't let me in the door. So we had to go to a court of competent, what's called a court of competent record. Now, there's not too many of them because most of the courts around the world are statutory courts, right? So the only ongoing history of a tribal court is the Maoris in New Zealand. So to meet the rules, to make the qualification for an international court where it's merit, it's all about a merit system. But if you've got to go into a court where you can make a judgment on one land basically and it'll apply in another land. So the only court of competent record that's coming from land jurisdiction is the first thing, that it's international and it's got ongoing historical records. So here on our continent, of course, we still have LORE courts going on every week in the central deserts and the remote areas with the blackfellas, but they're not written. So we're unfortunately in this time, it's an oral culture. So law courts, moral courts go on every week, but unfortunately there's no documentation. So we need ongoing history to meet the qualification for an international court of competent record, and we need it to have ongoing history. And the Maori Land Court was literally the only place on the planet we could find it.
Okay, so precedent's been set there.
Yep. Yes, so it's filed. Uncle Juma's documents are filed there. And so that the attachment there is we've got Rainer Fulmick's team. So he's an international lawyer that beat Volkswagen with their emissions case. His team of 4,000 lawyers. We've also got a human rights lawyer on board with us now, assisting with all the cases. We're everything. We're just coming into this big melting pot now. We're all coming together. But the purpose of the documents and the reason why they're going under grandmother's law is because it's the highest law of the continent. So grandmother's law is like the umbrella that all the other tribal law comes under. So that is going over the whole continent. That's why we created that document, so that we had something that applied to the whole continent. Because the little bridge that we had to link is that no nation can speak for another nation. So eventually, when we get there, we're going to have 369 nations, A, self-determined, and B, in pactum with each other. So we've had that process rolling basically for 2 years, right? Members of each of the tribal nations have been signing the kangaroo skin since exactly 2 years ago. In 4 days' time, exactly 2 years ago, since we were at Makara in the Ten Embassy in Canberra. And so we've had the kangaroo skins rolling since then, but we want paperwork documentation. Now, it's not for us, it's not for the tribes. They don't need to validate themselves with paperwork, but to push back on the system that we've got to get out of it. You know, the maxim of law, the rule of law is it's undone the same way it's done. So they've pushed all this statutory paperwork on us. So we have to push back with paperwork to neutralise, rebut, get rid of it, basically. So that's why we came up with this, this kit of documents. It's quite extensive, and it kind of is, the closest descriptor for it is a constitution, but it's a living constitution. Now, there's 15 documents, because every element of LORE is covered in its own document. So water has its own document, land has its own document, healthcare has its own document, wealth generation, agriculture, like they all have their own specific document. The governance document, which is the cover page, essentially, is just those 3 pages. And that covers, that's basically to say who we are, where we are, and what we're doing. So who we are, obviously, is Kabi Kabi. Where we are is the land description and the map and the geolocators for the roughly the territory that is encompassed in Kabi Kabi, and what we're doing is self-determination. So that's all those 3 pages say: who we are, where we are, and what we're doing. We're
So,
bringing
Helen,
dominant the ancient tribal LORE on a nation-per-nation basis.
may I ask a question that many may think about but not speak openly? Where does this leave white fellas? Those of us who are actually on the same page and going, yeah. Where does it leave white fella? Because we've got hundreds and hundreds of people sharing my video, sharing documentation. They want to know what that means, what that really means. And I get it, but there are many that don't. Do you have another question, darling?
Yeah, and for argument's sake, people that are listening to this and they go, this resonates with me. How can I get involved? What do I need to do? What steps do I need to do to come under grandmother law? To they want to, they would like to see themselves in a free world, the country being free for themselves, but they're white fella, not black fella. Is that the origin energy, the spirit of origin? How does that?
Are you there, Holker?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you want to answer that?
I sort of got a bit of that. I'm a bit busy in my kitchen at the moment getting a feed my worms. But I got a little bit of the of what I was saying is about the wider community joining with the First Nation people. We work together, as Auntie Bucky said before about the Chinese whispers, about what the government does with the Chinese whispers. The Chinese whispers are divide and conquer. They've set nation against nation, man against man, and also white against the blackfellas, the First Nation people of this country, to get their political story across, what the agendas that they wanted to put across to everyone. But this is our biggest chance to seize the moment that we have right now and join forces. Man, one of the Chinese whispers is that I've come across is the white folks of Australia, the European people, think that the blackfellas is going to take their land, take their possessions. It's not even close to that. It's not even in our vocabulary. We need to work together to make this succeed. If we don't work together, we're going to be under this government's umbrella all the time. So whatever the government says, I have a thing that I say to myself: believe half, then divide by two, because what the government says is a lot of crap most of the time. So as the white people, in each community, we just work together. They have a say in what goes on. It's not just us saying this is how it is, this is what you got to do. If you don't like it, you got to leave. It's not about that at all. It's all about us communicating with all. We're all sovereign people, you know, and we all need to come together and just take control of. This is our big opportunity to do that, because let's face it, look what the government's doing for us. They're doing nothing for us. They just take all the time. We want a better life. I want a better life. I want freedom. I don't want to be a slave. So, you know, this is just one of the biggest opportunities, and we need to grab with two hands and go with it. I'm not sure if I answered the question, but
well, in the spirit of origin, as I've been hearing for a couple of years now, is really, really important. And the other thing, Holden, is that we actually, in Queensland and other states, known as states, the Queensland state, known as the Queensland state, which is something else, of course, we don't even own our title deeds. No one does. So forget about that farce, that corporate farce anyway. So if you're going to keep pretending that you own your land and you've got a title deed, you dilute it anyway. So let's just do something different, for goodness sake.
And step into a better way of being.
Can I just say something here?
We don't want to take anybody's land or anything. You know, businesses are still going to be the businesses there. The same people are going to run their businesses. It's just going to be work different. You know, it's going to be more beneficial for everybody. You know, so we can, you know, it's going to be for our kids and our grandkids and so on. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think it's really important to state that, you know, there were 3 documents served on that day. One was Carby saying we're self-governing now. And then Auntie Bucky backed it up by going to the council meeting and saying, listen here, fellas, before you make any of these decisions, you come back to us, right?
Yes.
And not only that, there were 100 people standing behind Auntie Bucky saying it. And those 100 people weren't just all Carby.
No.
Heather was there. You know, Craig from my place was there. There was Lisa was there. The community was there. So now what you're seeing is a show of force, and there were all colours. You know, it wasn't just one. It was a show of unity. The second document that's served with it is the First Settlers Land Claim, which basically says you have no right on, unless you've got a bill of sale for this land, and you haven't, it's done and dusted. We don't need to have that argument anymore, because they've been served, they've been asked, and they've responded with silence. It's done. The next one is the grandmother's law document, which is the one that Heather was shown before on the screen. That one's saying you now have a choice. You either stand with the originals for freedom, or you are operating in genocide, fraud and treason. And you now have to make that choice, because as you can see, we're all gathering very quickly now behind this document. And it's not just because it's a document, it's the energy behind the document. It's the energy of unity. It's the energy that we're all coming together. These dark forces that run this planet on a spiritual level, they know the game's up. The last bit is the rest of us out in the wider unity community going, yeah, the game is up for them, and the new future is ours, and we will create it together in unity with our originals.
So there's one thing I want to say, is that you look at my skin colour. I have Scottish bloodline. I have Navajo bloodline. I have South Sea Island bloodline. I have Irish bloodline. Do you think for 1 minute that I would, and Auntie Kay would, and Holker would allow for those bloodlines? And we talk about when we go back into Scotland and places, we know the devastation and the disaster that occurred over in those places. And everybody should remember back not just 235 years ago, but 600 years ago when 3 million children were removed from Ireland. You know, this is what this evil lot are trying to do. And you got to remember the feeling of those parents, of those grandparents, on what would have happened then. So we've just got to put ourselves back into those moments in time and not forget about the histories, because the history is still continuing.
Yep.
While we
And
allow
I've got to say,
this evilness.
just have to say, sorry, Bucky. We are all Creator's children, and spirit has no colour. And once we get past colour, everyone will be fine.
Absolutely.
Right.
And this movement is not just about, it's maybe starting here, but we don't stop until the whole world is free. That's it.
Because it's already gaining momentum.
I don't think any of us have a problem with colour, apart from what the mainstream, these devils, are telling us that we do have a problem. We don't have a problem.
No, exactly.
None of us have a problem.
That's right.
It's just getting your head around the fact that we didn't make those comments. We didn't say that we're coming in to take anything off anyone else other than a fraudulent system.
Yeah.
So once you get your head around that and realise it's not us, it's them.
Well, in actual fact, I'd say we are taking back stuff. We're taking back our own divine internal authority. We're taking back our planet. We're taking back our own sovereignty. We're standing in our,
sovereignty.
and then we're taking it back as a collective.
Then national, international sovereignty.
So, Jazzy, you just explain what being sovereign is.
The way I explain sovereign is it's nobody above us, nobody below us. I'm sovereign because people don't realise that your body is the land that they talk about. Your birth certificate is the title to this body and soul. So when we talk about sovereignty, we talk about being sovereign. I'm queen of this land. This is my sovereignty. Then what I do is I link arms with somebody else with their sovereignty, right? And I talk about divine sovereignty in terms of creator. For Auntie Bucky, that creator is Birrell. For some, that is Biami. For some, that it's God, right? It doesn't matter. It's because all of those got, they say truth is like a string of pearls, each one with a string of truth running through all of them. And the fact is, all of those have, as a first principle, is do no harm, right?
Yes.
And so we come back to our sovereignty and we link arms with our other sovereigns. And we stand in unity. We take back what we believe they've taken from us. They haven't taken. That's why when you said about the voice cannot take anything from anybody. Least of all, men and women who choose not to be ruled or governed by these nefarious forces. We've got to stand in this land so we can get back this land, and we do it with all the land here in unity.
Beautiful. Yeah, very nice. Thank you. Thank you. I need to go. So how can we wrap this up in a nutshell? I'll leave it to you, Heather. and Louise to wrap this up, or whoever wants to, in a nice little bow to end this off here for our viewers.
Thank you, Jane and Bella, for having us on. I'm sure we'll do this again. We're going to be following up, I think. This is just the beginning of the most exciting shift on this continent and this planet. And we all know why we're here. I believe this is the most exciting time to be around. And, and have undergone much hardship and devastation, particularly our First Nations people here, and we know that. But I would say that this week has been the most exciting, energy-changing, dynamic week of my life.
Yeah,
Absolutely incredible. And the people that are watching this that feel it and know it but don't understand it, get out of your head, get into your heart, start connecting with your land, connect with your local original First Nations, Aboriginal people, whatever. Connect with them, even those who would have voted for the Voice or wanted to. Forget about that. Let's move forward together. There's going to be many coming on board. Turn the page and move on. This is an incredible, exciting time in the spirit of origin, in the spirit of this planet, and us coming back into our divine creatorship and sovereignty. It really is the shift that we have come for. And don't deny it. Don't doubt it. Don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt your community. Hold hands, stand together. Even people that you've disagreed with in the past, forget about it. We need to stand side by side and move forward. This is the way. And if it's starting here, then so be it. So be many, many others joining us. And my energy and my energy team, my ancestors who are of this land and many other lands are walking with me as well.
Yes.
And that's what I'd like to.
Yeah.
Any other final words, Frank?
Yes,
Have no fear.
Good on you,
Have
Annika.
no fear.
Absolutely. So I'll just circle back and answer that question that we kind of started with about what can people do. So obviously, meet your elders in your community. That would be a great thing to do, and give them physical face-to-face support. A good way to do that is to go to your My Place community, because there are My Place communities, 200 or something of them now across the continent, and we will use that as kind of an interface for people to connect and meet. It's online, but the meetings happen face-to-face in real life as well every week or month or however often that community holds them, and we will kind of use that as a coming together place, a hub for bringing everyone together in the spirit of origin. So we're in full support of the My Place communities.
Now the
And
videos
it's
are
an information centre.
Yeah, and in the documents, the suite of documents, we do have a travel document which kind of looks a little bit like one of these. So as soon as a nation gets on board, you can get one of these travel documents. Now, everything is coming under these two symbols here. One is the flag of unity, it's a land flag, not a maritime flag, and it's the flag of unity for our entire continent. So everyone can sit under that. Even if, for example, your tribal nation where you live isn't self-determined yet, you can sit under this flag. And we've got, programs coming with stickers and, flags and car stickers and all this stuff. It's, we're just on the back foot with everything. And this is the equivalent of a coat of arms, because it's not a coat of arms, but that's the easiest thing for people to comprehend, for the entire planet moving forward into our 1,000 years of peace. So they're two really important things, because even if, for example, your tribal nation hasn't got self-determination yet, we are able to organise a travel document just coming under this particular flag, because that's for the whole continent. So that's something tangible, physical that you can do. Obviously, anyone who needs to or wants to can get serving that grandmother's law document, because most of the time where people get into their waking up, their real waking up as to what's going on, is when they're being persecuted or abused by the system. So they need help with the judiciary or the executive. So that's when the grandmother's law notice is going to come into play, and you can serve that on anyone, a corporation, a council, a court, anyone whatsoever. And it was designed that way so that everyone across the continent can use it with whoever they're getting punished by, basically.
Because it's a universal document. Yeah. Sorry, Lisa, go.
So here's a question that very quickly that maybe some people are thinking of is we here in Gympie are really blessed. We have connection with the elders that we can connect to. But people in other places around the sort of the area who may not know who the elders are in where they are particularly residing, how would they be able to find that out? Where would they go? Who would they contact? Would they, for argument's sake,
go to my place? Go to the My Place.
Go to My Place.
Go to the My Place. Real life meeting. That's the first and easiest place to start. We are trying to get a bit of a platform up as well on People's Court of Terra Australis website. So it's all happening in rapid form, but it will come. The tools and resources will come.
Awesome.
Can I just say something? Yep. Just in regards to that question there, all they need to do is just go out and talk. Just talk to the community and just ask the questions to, if you see an Indigenous person, First Nation man, just go and ask him. We're all approachable. So just go and just make contact and just talk.
Brilliant.
So just for clarity there, because it's hard to hear, is it My Place with a PLACE?
Yes.
My Place. Okay. MyPlace.org, is it? Or
you can look on Facebook. You just go My Place Australia, and it'll have all the different places listed.
There might be I'm sure there's a Gold Coast one, guys.
There's Gold Coast, there's ones in Noosa, Gympie, all out throughout Victoria.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
I just want to boast a little bit. Gympie is the largest one. We're over 1,000 members.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think if you keep an eye out on the People's Court of Terra Australis Plus, I just put a link in the chat there. Renaissance Entertainment is posting up the video of the serving of the police and of the courts and of the council. They're the three we're concentrating on. But the good thing from there is we've had people contact us and say, we've seen what you've done. We're in your thing. We want to serve our council. So
I post that video on the Echo Chamber for those of you who are watching this. Where can I get the video? You won't be able to see our comments right here. So I will post that video on the Echo Chamber and reshare it around so that everyone can see.
Yeah.
We can also serve the banks.
Yeah, serve the banks. Serve
Anyone.
serve your electricity company. Serve Telstra. Serve your communications. Because what we're saying is, if you're operating and you're working with the fraudulent government against the originals of this land, you are operating in genocide. And they're not just genociding the originals, they're genociding us. They'll
That's
take
what the was about. That's what the JAB was about. That's further genocide for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Repopulating the planet.
Yeah, the maximum fraud is once you know of the fraud, if you participate in the fraud, you're committing fraud.
Yeah.
So this is where we arrive at this decision. Either you're with us or you're against us.
we're going to have to continue this conversation because it's so broad and so massive. We've only really touched on the surface of it today, but I want to thank you all for coming. Heather, Louise, you're absolutely extraordinary. Mate, all you people, human beings, sovereign human beings, sorry, not people.
People.
We're people, just not persons.
I know. I heard Louise pull you up on it, or someone got stuck on it this morning, and I thought, oh yeah. So
That's when I use persons.
Oh yes. In trouble.
We're people, not persons.
We're one mob, guys. We're one mob.
That's
Yeah.
one more.
Yeah.
No
Well,
way.
I will
Yeah.
share the link to the video. I will also share the